Hey there and welcome back to another video. One of the most common questions I get asked is how do I actually melodically solo over a song? How do I get that really nice lyrical horizontal solo sound? I know some licks, I know the chord tones, I know how to play scales and key centers and stuff, but how do I actually put it together and make a melodic solo? And you might be thinking, well, Dave, you've talked about this before and you talked about how voice leading is so incredibly important for melodic soloing. And yes, it is. I even have a masterclass called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos that will be linked in the description down below. So definitely check that out. But that's not what this video is about. This video is how you can instantly play melodically through these songs and lyrically and really try to sing through those tunes and through your instrument. And how do you do that? Is it licks? Is it, practicing your voice leading? Is it, learning your 2/5s, all this stuff? That's all great. And that's all kind of part of the overall thing of improvisation. And I think all those things are good. Not one of them is the best way, but all of them combined can create some good solos. But the best way, and it's really as simple as this, is to play everything as a ballad. That's right. One of the best ways I've learned for myself and for my students to play more melodically through solos, to understand the changes better, to understand phrasing, to understand shape of the solo, to really get inside the chords, the voice leading, all that stuff is the same way we'd work on a written passage, and that's to slow it down. It's really as simple as that. Now, you don't just play your same licks when you're playing fast and slow, and you don't just take a fast solo and slow it down. Oh, no. The idea here is this. Hopefully by now you have reference audios in your head for different styles of music and different songs. I've talked about this so much, and I think it's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is having reference audios in your ear, in your mind when you're playing. What I mean by reference audios is if I'm playing a slow swing, what references of slow swing do you have? It doesn't have to be the same song, the same key, it doesn't have to be the same instrument, right? But when we're talking about all those non-note musical elements, the phrasing, the articulation, the rhythms, the pacing of the solo, usually that's going to be style specific and not necessarily song specific. Song specific is where we start getting into the harmony, like specifically the difference in, impressions versus giant steps, to use two Coltrane tunes as an example. Those are two drastically different harmonic tunes. But if you play them at the same tempo with the same kind of feel, 4/4 fast swing feel, a lot of those articulations, rhythms might actually be the same between the two of them. The point I'm trying to make is if you have reference audios for ballads, some beautiful ballads, I think it would be a great thing for you to use those in your head when you're playing any song. Here's the process I want you to go through. It's not just, okay, let me just play the song as a ballad. The idea is you're going to take whatever song you're working on, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate doing this over Joy Spring. I actually asked on Instagram, what song would not normally be played as a ballad? Would you like to hear as a ballad? And I got a bunch of answers about Joy Spring. So I'm going to use Joy Spring because of all the chord changes and just the melody, and it's usually played pretty fast. What you're going to do is you're going to first take the song literally as a ballad. And in the example, I'm going to do a straight eighth note ballad at 70 BPM, obviously way slower than you would normally play this tune. But when you play it as a ballad, I don't want you to think about it as Joy Spring, the song that you're slowing down. I want you to think about it as a blank slate new song that just happens to have these chord changes. And by the way, in this video, I'm really only talking about the improvisation aspect. I play a tiny bit of the melody for the first two examples, and the third example, which we get to, I play the entire first head of the melody, but I digress. When we're thinking about soloing through these chord changes, what would you do to solo over a ballad with these chord changes? Well, what ballads have you heard? What beautiful melodies have you heard? What phrasing have you heard? I'm not going to get into how to dissect that in this video. That's a whole nother topic. But the first thing to do is just play it as a ballad. Don't approach it as a fast song slowed down. Play it as a ballad. So all the things about phrasing, rhythm, space, all of that applies as a ballad. It just happens to be, in this case, over Joy Spring. So check out me taking a chorus of Joy Spring at 70 BPM. All right, didn't that work really well as a ballad? If you take out the fact that you've always heard the song faster, I think it works really well. It has beautiful chord changes, has strong key centers, and if you approach it like a ballad, using voice leading, using shapes of solos that you've maybe done a shape transcription of, that's another video as well. All these things, having those reference audios in your ear will help you play through this song that happens to be Joy Spring, but as a ballad. Once you're able to play whatever song you're working on as a ballad and actually make it make sense at that tempo as a ballad, next thing you're gonna wanna do is speed it up a little bit. In this video, I'm gonna use 3 examples, 70 BPM, 110, and then 200. You know, there's no exact science to this. You can do it how you want. You can go up 10 BPM at a time, whatever. I just use 3 as an example, so this video is not 4 hours long. So once you're gonna speed it up a little bit, here's the trap that you don't wanna fall into. Don't instantly forget about what you just played and say, now I'm gonna play it as a medium swing or medium slow swing. Yes, that's what we're literally doing, but the idea in this exercise is that while you play it at, in this case, 110, I'm still gonna be thinking of, and you should still be thinking of, all those melodic lyrical elements that you did as a ballad at 70 BPM or 60 BPM, whatever. You're going to be thinking of, how did I navigate those chord changes? What made it really work as a ballad? What phrasing worked? What, notes worked at a certain time? When I resolved, did I do a lot of tension, a little bit of tension? As a ballad, you're not going to be playing all your normal 2-5-1 licks and just running up and down your stuff. You have to actually think more melodically. So now when you play it at 110 or 120 or whatever medium swing is for you, or medium bossa nova, straight, whatever, you're going to think about it that lyrically. The only difference is you're now going to use more non-note musical elements of that medium swing while still thinking about it as a ballad. So as you listen to me take a chorus on it at 110, I want you to think about what you just heard of me playing it as a ballad and listen for those melodic elements. Did I play them? Did I not? Did I deviate? Did I use them in conjunction with other things? I want you to listen for that and let me know what you think. Here we go, of Joy Spring at 110 BPM. All right, what'd you think? Could you hear some of those elements in there? Full disclosure, I recorded that 110 BPM version right after the ballad version, so it was very fresh in my mind, and that's kind of the point here for the exercise for you. Play it as a ballad, then keep that idea in mind, all those lyrical, melodic elements, use them at 110, and then you're playing at the medium swing. Yes, you're going to be using some different rhythms, more maybe eighth note lines because of the tempo, less broken rhythms maybe, but you're still going to think and keep that melody, that lyrical nature, phrasing of the ballad in your mind. All right, once you're comfortable playing very melodically at that slower swing tempo, in this case it's a swing song, now, like I said before, I'm gonna take it at 200. Yes, that's kind of a big jump from 110, but like I said, I just didn't wanna make this video too long. So here's the thing, 200 is roughly around the tempo that people play this tune at, 180 to 200-ish normally. So I wanted to give you kind of a real world example of if somebody calls this at a session or something, this is what you would be playing it at. Yes, it's going to be much faster. It's going to be more the bebop style. I'm going to be playing way more lines, way more running eighth notes and stuff. Not as much, 16th notes, obviously, like I threw in some of this faster stuff in the ballad because you can at speed. At 200, it's not going to be as feasible. But the point of this exercise going from, in my case, 70, 110 to 200 is while I'm playing the new tempo, I'm thinking of those melodic elements and trying to carry them through. So even though this is 200 BPM, I'm still thinking of the same melodic elements that I was thinking at 70 BPM. The difference obviously being the changes are moving by much quicker, and I'm going to be using those non-note musical elements, phrasing, articulation, rhythms, stuff like that of faster swings. So for each of these tempos, I'm also thinking of reference audios of different styles of music, different tempos that I've heard, and I'm going to combine that with the melodic elements of the ballad to hopefully give me a nice melodic solo that works voice leading wise, phrasing wise, even though it's a faster tempo. Here's my version of Joy Spring, 200 BPM. I do play a chorus of the melody first, and then I play a few choruses of solo. Check it out. And there we go. Could you hear some of the elements there? They might be a little more hidden, obviously, at 200, but by you listening to me do it at 70, then 110, then 200, and once again, I played them all back to back to back. I did carry over some specific elements, and I was thinking of, where am I going to resolve this? I'm going to pull this tension out, resolve it here. I'm going to leave this space here. I still do that at 200. It's just obviously going to be mixed in with more bebop type stuff, faster, longer lines versus the more broken, separated stuff, held out more notes of the ballad. But the point still stands that I'm carrying those elements all the way through and just adding in other elements of those faster tempos. And I really, really, really want you to try this exercise out for yourself. I think this will be one of the best things you ever do for learning to play more melodically at these normal, faster tempos, because it doesn't take anything new. You don't have to practice new licks. You don't have to run things in 12 keys. You just literally take what you're working on, slow it down, focus on it as a ballad, and then keep those elements throughout. Whenever I play normally, not just for this video, but just I play anything, I'm always thinking of songs as ballads. I always hear things like slower, slowed down. Even when I hum tunes sometimes, I'll hum them as ballads, even though I've never played them as a ballad or nobody would ever call them as a ballad. It's just, for me, it makes sense to draw that lyricism out. And then when I actually go play faster, those elements are still carried with me, which helps me then play more melodically. You might be saying, well, that's great. I sound bad on a ballad, so I'm going to sound bad fast. Sure, there are other elements that go into this. Like, I think voice leading is really great. And once again, if you go to davepollack.com/free masterclass, or just click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment, you can get my voice leading masterclass, which is that step-by-step guide of using guide tones and neighbor tones and enclosures and that stuff to actually voice lead through chord changes. Yes, that is part of melodic playing as well. Yes, understanding chord tones is part of it. Yes, understanding key centers is part of it. Yes, learning 2/5s, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff goes into it, but if you don't have the feeling of lyricism and the phrasing and the shape of the line, you can play the coolest licks, the coolest voice leading you want. It's just not going to sound that great. There you go. I hope you try this exercise out for yourself. If you do, please come back to this video. Let me know in the comments below how it worked out for you. Or if you've done this before, also let me know if it worked out well for you, or if you had some struggles. I'll definitely try to help as much as I can. I know I've been mentioning this in each video recently, but we're getting so close to the launch of my new beginner improvisation course called Intro to Improv. If you've never improvised before, or you just started improvising and things seem confusing and overwhelming, and you just want to get a basis on how to actually get started with this without someone telling you, you got to transcribe 50 solos and learn everything in 12 keys and then you can start, and no. This will get you improvising right away. We talk about listening, we talk about rhythms, which is something a lot of people don't teach specifically online. I get you moving, I get you playing, we get going with this music right away, and it'll give you that jump start that you need to improvise over whatever you want. Stay tuned because more information will be coming out about that very, very soon. I'm so incredibly excited about that, so definitely be on the lookout for info about that course. Thank you so much for watching and for your time. And by the way, just hit 50,000 subscribers here on the channel, which is unbelievable to me. When you think about it, like 50,000 people, 50,000 of you. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so you'll be notified of more videos. But it's crazy, you know, yeah, sure, there's other channels out there with millions and hundreds and whatever. But like the Phillies Stadium, technically seat-wise, holds about 43,000. So we sold out plus and standing room only. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much over the years for all the support. It's really crazy to see in the best way possible. So thank you so much for that. And I'll see you in the next video.